Hello and welcome to Quilt Addicts Anonymous. I'm Stephanie Soebbing. Well, I got a different backdrop than normal. Today I'm in my kids' playroom because my daughter woke up with the flu this morning. But I've got to film our quilting play-by-play where we take a look at how I quilted our latest Stashing with Stephanie design, Seeing Stars. So I actually used to film in this room for many, many years. It was my sewing room before we had a second child and desperately needed more space in our home for all the things that come with having a second child. So I'll show you a little bit of the space now. And just so I'm not contributing to the idea that everyone is perfect on the internet, I also want to show you what it looked like yesterday before I organized and decluttered this space, which ended up being very good timing since I'm working in here today. And if you don't know about Stash with Stephanie, it's a really awesome subscription club that we have. We have over 800 members now, which is really exciting. And we send everybody out 10 fat quarters for $29.99 a month plus shipping. And then once the fat quarters arrive, you get a pattern that has been designed by me. It's specifically for this fabric. So this month we made really good use of color value in order to have each of these fabrics shine and stand on their own. So that was really a fun challenge for me to take on. You can watch the piecing video tutorial that is out already. And then you also have access to all of the other patterns that we've released with Stashing with Stephanie. It's over a $200 value right now. We also have 2 fat quarter books, one of which is a bestseller, and you get those for 30% off. That includes 10 patterns. Each book includes 10 patterns that used to be part of the club, plus 2 exclusive ones that have never been released anywhere else. And that's fat quarter patchwork quilts and fat quarter workshop. So you can get deals on both of those. Plus you get an additional discount on additional fabric that you want. So if you want to turn your bundle into a quilt kit, we've got something for you that'll make that happen. If you want to get extra fabric to say add a border or have coordinating backing, you can save on that too. So with fabric prices going up this year because of inflation and just challenges with worldwide delivery, this is a good club to be a part of so you can continue to quilt and do so on a budget. So let's get into taking a peek at how I quilted this. All right, so I used a stencil for this, and if you want to see specifically how to mark a stencil on your home sewing machine or your long arm, check out our free Motion Quilting video tutorial series. It's free to watch, but we also have a pattern that you can pay for if you want to follow along with us. But this is a stencil that I've used many times. It's called the El Dorado, and it's like feather light because there are feathers in it, but there also are swirls. So it's a really easy one if you're just getting started with feathers. But what I have here is there's an Enderbed storage container that I have on my long arm base, and that way I have a nice hard surface that I'm able to mark with this pounce powder. So right now I'm lining up that target with the target that was made in the other portion, and this is an offset stencil, so you can see there's also a target on the top. That one gets lined up with eventually once it gets on the bottom. It makes a little more sense once you see it done. But I can just work my way down the quilt here, sliding that box down. You can see where that quilt is up a little bit. That gives me my nice hard surface to work across. And then I'm using, I'm lining that target up there. That's what you saw me doing. And then this pounce pad is really awesome. You fill it up with chalk powder, and I was able to use the Ultimate White on this quilt. I'm not always able to use that on actual quilts because if I've got a white background it won't show up, but since we had a nice medium scale I was able to do that here, and I'm able to just swipe it across, and the chalk powder that's inside of the pounce pad pushes through the lines on the stencil. It's like a screen printing material, like when you push ink through to create a design on a t-shirt, just you're pushing chalk through instead to mark your quilt top. So I end up with a nice clear line to follow, nice, and it's not like, you know, like some of the stencils that you get are plastic where it's all like dotted lines. It is just a straight line to follow. There's no guesswork. It works really, really well. And this is nice. You're going to do one entire pass at a time. So if you've ever wondered how to use these on a full quilt, this is how you do it. You're going to mark one row at a time. You really don't want to do any more than that because the chalk powder is designed to go off. And if you mark more than one line, then it's likely to come off before you get to it and you're able to sew. And also you don't want to go like super fast when you do start the sewing step. You want to go nice and even and steady instead, because sometimes the vibrations of your long arm or sewing machine can push that off as well. So this is a really great product. It can help you get the muscle memory down, or in this case, like I have tried and tried and tried to do feathers, and I've never really been able to do them successfully if I don't have a line or a pattern to follow. But with full line stencil, I can do a feather because I know where I'm supposed to go, and it works out really, really well for me. So this is just, it's a great design. It's a great all over design. It looks absolutely fantastic on the actual quilting of it. We did a slow-mo quilt drop where the wind kind of took it and blew, and you can see all the feathers and swirls in the background. It is just so lovely, and I always like amaze myself that I did that. I was able to do that really cool feather, but I would not have it turn out anywhere near as nice if I had freehanded it. So check out these stencils. They're pretty awesome. All right, so at this point, I am tightening up those rollers, as you have to kind of get it pretty loose if you're working on the long arm so that you can do it. If you're working on a domestic, you don't have the same constraints. You can just mark it before you get started. All right, so since we kind of had to start on the side there, the stencil, you kind of do whatever on the side. You kind of fill it in, and then you can travel until you get to your next part of the feather or swirl. But the main thing you want to watch out for here is that you have nice smooth feathers, and if you need to stop at any point, you want to stop at one of those points. Now, if you're doing that little section there, that big swoop on a domestic, that's going to be hard to kind of keep it nice and smooth. So you want to really like have your hands in a good position before you get going there, so you don't have to stop and move. But you can see what I mean, where we do a bunch of feathers. We're just kind of popping around here. And if you ever need to stop and move your hand position because you're working on the domestic, at any point in the middle of the feathers, that's a good spot to do it. Now, we've done a few feathers. We need a nice little mental break because that can be challenging. So now we get some nice big swirls that work really well. And then we're back to feathers again. So anytime you have that big swoop where you're going from the point and coming all around to hit your feather again, that is going to be a point where it's going to be harder to do on the domestic sewing machine than it is on the long arm. The long arm, those big curves are just a lot easier to do because, you know, you got the big fluid motion of moving your arms around, as opposed to, you know, trying to manipulate that, and you only have so much room on your domestic. But essentially, we're just going to keep kind of bopping around there, kind of alternating between a few feathers, and then you kind of outline the feathers some more, and then we're going to get back into a swirl center. And so it really is a very fun design. I've used this on whimsical quilts. I've used this on kids quilts. I think this is the third or fourth time that I've used it. But let me tell you, after having tried, and like I've taken classes on feathers and still like failed miserably at them. But the first time I tried this stencil, we have it on video, I quilted that thing perfect. Absolutely perfect. And when we used to have a brick and mortar store and we would do in-person classes using these stencils, we would start off with like your stipple meander, and then we would move into some more pointier ones. And by the end of a 2-hour class, everybody was quilting the stencil, and it was turning out good. So this is just a fabulous beginner feather to work with, because those feathers, like you can see, they're pretty spaced out. We don't really have a spine that we're working with, and there's just some nice spacing in between them. So it is not like a very classical feather. It's not one that's going to be super hard to maneuver. We just kind of have to do like that half heart shape and try to keep it as smooth as you can as you're working. Now, at some point, I have a camera on a GoPro camera mounted to the handlebar of my long arm, and sometimes it slips down a little bit. So it is slipping down. We're not able to see it pretty soon. We're not going to be able to see that long arm foot anymore. But I think you've gotten the gist by now that essentially we do some swirls and then we pop around and do some feathers. And you just need to practice. Like I always practice this on like a half yard of fabric. I sandwich it up and do a couple rows of this. It is about 6 inches wide. It's going to look wider, but it kind of sits in once you get those marks all put together. it kind of comes up and down a little, which is a good thing. You want it to look more organic, where parts of it are a little lower and parts of it are a little higher. It would look very strange if we had a straight line of feathers. And with that offset, it looks super awesome as well. So that is really, really fun. So this is just, it's literally one of my favorites. I'm constantly going back to this one. But you guys can just keep watching. I think we are about to lose that foot pedal completely. But like I said, my dogs are going to come hang out. The Basset Hound has joined me, as has my Cocker Spaniel. They're both sitting at my feet right now. Maybe we'll add in some footage of them, but I'm sure you're hearing them running around. But this is, you know, we just need to be flexible sometimes when we are moms. And my husband is fully capable of being here with my daughter, but like her temperature went up like a full degree in an hour, and I gave her some Tylenol. She's doing better now, but she's definitely sick. And as a mama, you want to be there. So thank you for having a little bit of change of scenery here with me today. It feels kind of fun, a little nostalgic even, because this was my filming studio and sewing room for many, many years before we moved it over to our current location at our warehouse and shipping and sewing center. So check out Stashing with Stephanie. If you sign up right now, if you sign up by the 31st, so today, then you will get your first bundle. Will ship around the 20th of April. If you sign up the 1st of April, then you won't get your first bundle, won't ship until around the 20th of May. Now we do that for a couple reasons, but the biggest one is that when we release it to our customers, and the pattern like this one that we created here, then it is like a mad dash to get additional fabric, because our members get first dibs on that. And we do sell out, especially some of the really pretty prints. Like some of the prints were totally sold out by the time, hang on, my dog really wants to join me now. It's just a day. It's just a day, folks. We're having a day. This is my sunroom, and so he wants to look out the window. And I think he's just going to join me for the rest of the little episode here. We'll turn so you can be on camera, Remy. What do you think? You want to be on camera? But anyway, so back to Stashing with Stephanie. So once we release that pattern, our members get first dibs on getting additional fabric. And some of the really, really pretty prints were sold out before we released the pattern and made the fabric available to non-members. So you definitely want to, it's just really important that we send that email out to everybody at the same time. Otherwise, it is, it's just not fair to everybody. Not everyone gets the same chance to get additional fabric, and that's no good. So, in order to do that, we have to have everybody pay the month before, so that way we know how many bundles to prep. We can send it out to everybody, and then everybody has the exact same shot at getting additional fabric. Now, we have been ordering enough fabric so that everyone's been able to get a finishing kit, so that has not been an issue. And the finishing kit is basically the extra fat quarters that you didn't get, background and binding, so you can turn your bundle into a full quilt kit if you like that month's pattern. You certainly don't have to do it. It's a completely optional thing, but if you choose to take advantage of that, then that is available for you as a member. And so, but if you go sign up for the program and you like this month's fabric, you'll want to grab the kit, because your first bundle will not include this fabric that's already out and has been sent to everybody. But you can get a discount on this month's quilt as long as you purchase it in like a second transaction after you become a member. Then our website will know that you're a member, and then you get to get dibs on that and get your exclusive discount and all your free patterns. And it's just a really great deal. So like I said, fabric prices are going up this year. Inflation is a real thing, and it is affecting the quilting world as well. So make sure you take advantage of that and get some discounts. So that'd be really, really fun for you guys. But again, thank you for being super flexible with me today as I film from my old studio digs here back in the sunroom where this all began. Actually, technically it all began in my dining room, but this was like all my inventory fit in a tiny shelf that used to sit in the corner right behind where I'm at. And in front of me was where I had all my cameras. My desk was in the middle of the room. It looked very, very different. And the hutch was there. The hutch is still in my video studio. It is just currently under a pile of stuff because it is about as well organized as this room was before I got to it today. So, but anyway, thanks for being flexible with me as I work from home today, as we have a sick kiddo. But check it out. Check out this month's design. It's called Seeing Stars. Check out the stencil, and that one is really fun as well. That El Dorado, it's so pretty, and it's a great beginner feather. And if you've struggled before like I did, this one I believe you can do. It is really, really good. It was like night and day of what my feathers look like before I tried this and after. All right, so check out all the goodies over at shop.quiltaddictsanonymous.com. I'll leave you with Remy. Remy, you want to say bye-bye? You want to say bye-bye? You want to say bye-bye? Bye-bye. 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 Happy quilting.